And away we go. It's just me at the moment. Not sure if Risk and or Eric would join, or if they're going to join. Either way, the show must go on, if it will allow me. Anyway, let's just jump right into the news. Question is, where do I begin? There is... Honestly, as of this recording, I don't think there's much going on. So let's just see what's going on at the moment. SpaceX is on track to secure a $2 billion deal with the Pentagon to develop satellites capable of tracking missiles as part of United States President Donald Trump's Golden Dome air defense project. The Wall Street Journal reported on Friday, citing sources with knowledge of the matter. The space exploration company owned by tech mogul and billionaire Elon Musk would be closely involved in the Pentagon's plans to build satellite networks used to transmitting important military information and tracking vehicles on the ground, the source said. Earlier this year, Trump estimated that the Golden Dome would become operational by the end of his presidential term. The question is, when will his term end? Is it going to be in 2028? Or is it another year if he gets his way somehow? I'm just saying, adding that its total cost would be $175 billion. The Pentagon refused to comment on the report, while SpaceX did not provide a response. Well, of course they wouldn't. Because why would they? They don't have to explain to anyone or anything. I want to see what space is like. I'm all for space exploration. The thing I have personally is, can we? And before anyone brings up the moon landing in the 1960s, everyone's entitled to their opinions regarding the moon landing. If the technology was there in the 60s, what's the technology like today that could achieve the same level of space exploration as what happened in the 60s? It's just food for thought. People will say it's high costs. Others will say there's a risk of faulting the equipment that will cause it to explode. And you know what? That's fair. Those are very fair points. However, the United States has a massive economy. I have a feeling they should be able to cover all of these concerns if they ever feel like they want to. China's BYD reports biggest quarterly profit fall in over 4 years. China's BYD reported a 32.6% year-over-year decline in net profit to 7.8 billion yuan, $1.1 billion, for the third quarter of 2025, its biggest quarterly profit fall in over 4 years. BYD's revenue dropped 3.1% year-on-year to 195 billion yuan, the first such decline in more than 5 years. The car maker faces tougher competition in China's EV market from Geely and Leapmotor, with its domestic market share dropping to 14% in September from 18% a year earlier. I know Risk, if he's here right now, he's going to have a field day with that one. And look, I don't mind what China's going to do. Of course, I have my opinions on China, but nonetheless, China's doing pretty well for themselves, even if there are problems and obstacles along the way, whether it be the factories, the companies are on a somewhat of a decline. There are other companies in China that will do very well in the future. It's going to happen. Like, in the next few years, the People's Republic of China will be the forefront of global geoculturics. I don't know how to describe it other than geopolitics. China is going to take over at some point. I know people don't like China, and that's okay. Everyone's entitled to their opinions. However, that's not going to stop them. There you go. ChatGPT creator OpenAI announces massive new data center in Michigan. OpenAI, Oracle, and Related Digital will build a massive gigawatt AI data center in Saline Township, Michigan, the largest one-time investment in the state's history. The new advanced facility, expected to be one of the most advanced AI infrastructure sites in the country, will use a closed water loop system and preserve over 700 acres of open space. The project will create over 2,500 union construction jobs, 450 on-site jobs, and 1,500 jobs across the country, according to Governor Whitmer. Well, OpenAI has to expand somehow, and if this is one of them, so be it. Well, best of luck to OpenAI, despite concerns about the dominance in the AI space, and of course, people relying on ChatGPT for pretty much everything and anything. However, I'm not surprised. OpenAI is going to and will have to expand into some capacity, and this is no different. This is part of their expansion. There's also going to be something else for OpenAI to expand upon. However, we'll get to that point in the next few years. And I'm not just saying that because out of the inevitable, I know for certain that I think a lot of companies working with AI, they will go above and beyond in multiple aspects, especially in those that may not even exist yet. That will certainly change our lives as much as AI as it stands now changed the lives we have lived years ago. So technology is ever so advancing and expanding. Billie Eilish calls on billionaires to donate more at event attended by Mark Zuckerberg. On October 29th, 2025, Billie Eilish revealed she will donate $11.5 million from her Hit Me Hard and Soft tour to the Changemaker program at the Wall Street Journal Magazine Innovator Awards in New York City, announced by Stephen Colbert. Eilish's activism has involved long-time work with her mother, Maggie Baird, founder of Support Plus Feed, and she urged, "I'd say if you have money, it would be great to use it for good things." Eilish singled out the room's wealth, asking, "If you're a billionaire, why are you a billionaire?" Well, Meta founder Mark Zuckerberg did not clap, creating visible awkwardness. On social media, posts and threads amplified the moment as Stephen Colbert praised the gesture as extraordinary, while the audience at MOMA reacted with laughter and claps. With billionaire giving under scrutiny, criticism has risen in recent years as inequality balloons, while the Giving Pledge and donors like Priscilla Chan and Mark Zuckerberg have given more than $5 billion collectively. I will, I will, I will say this. Good for Billie Eilish for speaking the quiet part out loud, as someone is going to have to do at some point, and why it's better later than never, as in right now. But even if there are millionaires or billionaires that do donate, another question has to be asked. What charities and non-profit organizations are these millionaires and billionaires donating to? Well, it's a good point that anyone with any amount of wealth could simply just give that amount away to charity and or non-profit organizations that will be of much better use to said charity and organization. Make of it as you will. Out of the millionaires and billionaires that do donate, the reason why they would ever donate is for the sake of tax reductions. Can't argue that no one likes paying taxes. However, money has to be contributed somewhere. However, billionaires and millionaires who do donate, and they admit they donate, the reason they would ever donate to begin with is because most countries, allow for tax reductions for charitable causes and donations. Well, that's my take on it. whilst there are billionaires and billionaires that don't want to donate any of their money, because, well, why would I? Why would I care? Well, even if you're not in that position, even if you're not in the same shoes as those who are unfortunate, it's still important that with whatever wealth and power that we have, I believe it's important that we provide a positive contribution to our world and our communities. And look, if I was a millionaire, I don't mind donating to charities and non-profit organizations because I can easily make that money back in just a few weeks or days. Depends at what point in my life I get to. But yeah, if rich people are concerned about throwing their money away, I'm not sure if I call it throwing away money. If they were to give money away to charity or non-profit organizations, they can easily make that money back. No matter how much they donate, give it a few weeks, maybe a few days, and you'll instantly make that money back. The amount that you've donated. Personally, I don't see why this is such a I don't know why this is even a topic to begin with. I thought most people are contributing. I thought people do give a damn about how we live and those who are unfortunate, needing to get by in life. Well, the more you know, the more you know. Beatles, four-film event casts Yoko Ono, Linda McCartney, and much more. On October 1st, Sony Pictures announced additional casting for the Beatles, a four-film cinematic event with Saoirse Ronan, Annie Sawai, Amy Lou Wood, Maya McKenna-Bruce joining the project, with full life story and music rights granted. Apple Corps Limited and the band's descendants partnered with Sony Pictures and Neil Street Productions for Sam Mendes, director and producers for theatrical films. The films cast Paul Mescal, Harris Dickinson, Joseph Quinn, and Barry Keoghan, I'm not sure I got his last name right, as McCartney, Lennon, Harrison, and Starr, with Sam Mendes directing scripts by Jez Butterworth, Peter Strohan, and Jack Thorne, produced alongside Pippa Harris, Julie Pastor, and Alexandra Derbyshire. Sony Pictures will finance and distribute the biopics theatrically worldwide, with Alexandra Derbyshire producing and Sam Mendes alongside Neil Street partners Pippa Harris and Julie Pastor. All four films are scheduled for theatrical release in April 2028, featuring star power with Saoirse Ronan, four-time Oscar nominee Anna Sawai, Emmy winner Amy Lou Wood, Emmy nominee this year, and Maya McKenna-Bruce, BAFTA Rising Star winner. So that's a lot of names and and the many accolades that the cast has won in the past. Sounds like it's a big deal for this Beatles movie, or whatever theatrical releases for the Beatles, for movies. I can't wait to hear about it when the time does come about, when the film starts to release in theaters. Surely, the movie is going to be an astounding success. I hope. I really hope so. It would be embarrassing if it's not. But nonetheless, there's big names in this, so it has to do well. I can't imagine these four theatrical releases even tanking in the slightest. The Beatles are a phenomenon in the pop culture scene and music, but mostly pop culture, because who hasn't heard of the Beatles? I'm just saying. So yeah, there's so much anticipation with this movie, and surely, for sure, it's going to do very well. Ariana Grande reveals wickedly good brunette hair transformation. On October 29th, 2025, Ariana Grande posted a mirror selfie on Instagram announcing her return to brunette after 3 years as blonde for Glinda in Wicked. In October 2022, Ariana Grande went blonde for Wicked to deconstruct her pop persona and embody Glinda, the Good Witch, as explained by her team. Her post credited London-based hair colorist Francesco Di Chiara, hairstylist Alice, Alice Liu, and makeup artist Michael Anthony, while Di Chiara reposted the image to his Instagram story showing glossy chocolate brown curls with full makeup. Fans quickly reacted as the Instagram post earned more than 1.8 million likes within hours, and the change arrives ahead of Wicked for Good's November 21st, 2025 premiere and Grande's 2026 Eternal Sunshine album tour. Earlier this year, Grande briefly reverted to brown for the Brighter Days Ahead short film, and Rachel Budd said, "We went from a warm, light auburn brown base with chunky, contoured highlights to create contrast at the 2025 Golden Globes." Good for her. Her life, her choice. If she wants to be a brunette, she can be a brunette. I actually prefer her as a brunette, to be honest. I don't mind her being blonde. However, I miss the day she was a brunette. Her time on Victorious is a different story. But yeah, good for her. At least, well, of course, Ariana Grande is still going to do very well. She's still going to have a good music career if she still wanted to be an artist. And yeah, she's going to do very well. And yeah, again, there's nothing else to say other than that. That's just life. And there's always something for celebrities to do, even if they finish the film or they finish whatever album they release. There's always something else in store, and something else to talk about regarding these celebrities. Black vultures attack and kill cattle. Climate change is one reason they're spreading north. Scavenger black vultures that attack and kill livestock are expanding northward due to climate change, causing problems for cattle farmers. Farmers are using methods like scarecrows and depredation permits to try to scare off or kill some of the birds, which are protected but not endangered. Experts say more research is needed to understand the vulture's impact on livestock and ecosystems before allowing increased killing of the birds. Alan Bryan scans the sky as he watches over a minute-old calf huddled under a tree line with its mother. After a few failed tries, the calf stands on wobbly legs for the first time, looking to nurse. Above, a pair of birds circle in the distance. Bryant, hoping they're not black vultures, is relieved to see they're only turkey vultures, red-headed and not aggressive. Honestly, the black vultures is one of the ugliest things I've ever seen, he said. They're easy to hate. Black vultures scavengers that sometimes attack and kill sick or newborn animals didn't used to be a problem here, but now Brian frequently sees the birds. Following a birth, he hasn't lost a calf in several years, but they've killed his animals before, so now he takes measures to stop them. In some of his fields, he erects a scarecrow of sorts, a dead black vulture aimed at scaring off the birds. It's a requirement of his depredation permit through the Kentucky Farm Bureau, which allows him to shoot a few birds a year. The dead bird keeps the live birds away for about a week, but they eventually come back, he said. It's a problem that may grow worse for cattle farmers as the scavenger bird's range expands northward, in part due to climate change. Lobbying groups have been pushing for legislation that would allow landowners to kill more of these birds, which are protected but not endangered. But experts say more research is needed to better understand how the birds impact livestock and how their removal could affect ecosystems. That's a good point. Another question, and something else I also would say would need extra research is in what way does climate change impact the migration patterns of flight birds, not flightless birds, but the birds that have the ability to fly. Not to say I deny climate change. However, I do believe there are certain aspects of climate change that people say are a genuine concern that is far beyond our control. And if we do say to people, don't do this, don't eat that, even if we do exactly what experts tell us to do to ensure climate change doesn't become a problem, it's going to be a long while until we see even the tiniest amounts of positive effects. And once we do reach our targets, would people continue with the measures that they have been asked to do, or will they resume with their lives as they had previously lived before? Experts have told them, don't eat this, don't do that. And then eventually the same problem that led to these measures to begin with eventually comes back. I'm all for preserving the environment and wildlife reserves for animals. That I can back. I support that fully. However, for me personally, I am curious about in what ways that ecosystems, well, mostly climate change, has any role in the migration of birds and how it has caused these vultures to scavenger and navigate around parts of Kentucky, Kansas. Well, it has to be in the US state starting with a K. So yeah, it's important that we stay alert and protect your animals for any farms out there. Because I think farmers know how important the cattle and other farm animals are in providing resources that we as city folk could ever ask for or possibly need. Andrew Tate claims he has replaced KSI as the new CEO of fight promotion company Misfits. The British-American influencer, 38, who faces allegation of rape and human trafficking in Romania and in the UK, is set to fight TV personality Chase Moore, 29, in a Misfits boxing match in Dubai on 20th of December. Both Tate and his brother, Tristan, 37, deny the UK Crown Prosecution Service's 21 charges against them, including rape and actual bodily harm, relating to 3 alleged victims. The former kickboxer, who has been in 88 fights, has said in an announcement video that he has joined the fight promotion to finally put Misfits where it belongs on the world stage. The largest disruptive force in sports entertainment history, so considering that somebody that failed at their obligations to make this organization as big as it should have been has been ousted, and I'm the new CEO, Tate claimed. KSI tweeted something that annoyed me 3 years ago, so long story short, I took his company from him, he added to Fred Talks Fighting. And considering that I'm the largest name on the planet, if I'm gonna fight on an organization, why not fight on an organization that I own a percentage of? It makes a lot of this. It makes YouTuber KSI helped launch Misfits in 2021 alongside Mams Taylor, Cal Sauerland, and Nice Sauerland, and has been involved in 5 boxing matches under the promotion. Responding to Tate's claim on X, he said, "This year people are trying to test me, for real, what the actual fuck is going on. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Let's make Andrew Tate the CEO of Misfits. Are you fucking serious?" Although some fans said they were not falling for the WWE storyline, KSI also lashed out at his manager Taylor, adding, "Last month, the Crown Prosecution Service said Tate will face no criminal charges over abuse claims made in the UK civil case." we undertook a further review of a case file in relation to allegations of assault and rape between 2013 and 2015, a CPS spokesperson said. Following careful consideration of the evidence provided by Hertfordshire Constabulary, we concluded that our legal test for prosecution was not met, and that no further action should be taken. We have informed all parties of our decision and offered to meet with the complaints to explain our reasoning in more detail. Wow, what a surprise! Whoop-de-doo! The case by the Crown Prosecution Service for the Tate brothers' allegations apparently has been dropped. What a surprise to absolutely no one. Whether you like him or don't like him, and I think Risk and Eric, they know the story. We've talked about it in the past. It's all spectacle. And this is not to say that rape or sexual allegations are a laughing matter. They are not. They should never will be. They should never will be. They should never be a laughing matter. Knowing that, from what I've just read, the case for the Tate brothers has been dropped, the UK civil case. So what? I didn't say it was going to happen anytime soon, but when it did happen, I'm not surprised. It just comes to show you could be on either side, so long as you allow control by the higher ups. I don't care if people don't know what I'm talking about. Go ahead. Quiz me on it. I know, unfortunately, I know too much about this. Something has to be done. However, not when until it's convenient. So anyway, back to Andrew Tate saying he's going to be the CEO of Misfits. Now, when I've heard that story, I was like, huh? Really? I find it somewhat funny. Not haha funny, more like weird funny. Either way, it got a reaction out of someone, and of course, I'm not surprised by what KSI has said in his tweet on X. It ticks all the boxes of the things he will likely bring up, and not that is a bingo, but I don't expect KSI to say anything else other than what he said on X about hearing the announcement of Andrew Tate becoming CEO of Misfits. It's all too familiar to us right now. It's all too convenient. Now, will this ever go ahead? Actually, I'm not sure. And I could say it could not, I doubt it. But what I say now, the other outcome would say otherwise. So, you know what? It's head or tails with this. It's either way. It's anyone's guess. The game is on. Of course, Andrew Tate saying that he wants to get back into fighting. Let's see how well he does after many years of not fighting. I'm curious to see how Andrew Tate will do back in the fighting ring. Back in the ring. Does he still got it after many years of not being active in that career? Well, he has been exercising every so often, so he still might have it. He might get a few wins. But that's just me. Let's just wait to see what the fight's going to come out to be, and of course wait for the weigh-ins to happen, and we'll see what happens from there. Surging energy prices drive inflation to 3% for first time in 8 months. Gas and electric utilities saw the largest price increases for consumers over the previous 12 months. The cost of replacing power lines and gas pipelines is a major driver of higher customer bills. Data centers are reshaping electricity markets with recent data showing billions in costs to keep the grid stable. The cost of electricity has risen by 5.1% since September 2024, while the cost of natural gas utilities is up by 11.7%, the largest increase on any item tracked. In the CPI report, used car prices also increased by 5.1%. The cost of healthcare rose by 3.9%, while food costs were up. Gasoline prices which recently hit a 10-month low for drivers at the pump, declined by half a percentage point, the largest decrease of any item in the report. The September CPI report was based on data gathered before the start of a government shutdown that began on October 1st, the Bureau of Labor Statistics said. The consumer price data reflects changes on the US power grid and a push to update aging infrastructure. Electricity prices are rising because of a surge in demand, driven in large part by the growth of artificial intelligence data centers. At the same time, utility companies are working to replace old and damaged power lines and gas pipelines, typically passing some of the associated costs to consumers. And looking back what Elon Musk said about the concerning rise of AI doesn't seem all that far-fetched after all. Of course, people don't like Elon Musk and I don't want to agree with what he says. And fair enough, everyone's entitled to those opinions. However, Elon Musk was certainly onto something back then about AI, back when ChatGPT went viral and was on the rise to popularity when people found out about its amazing capabilities. But yet he never mentioned about the power consumption. Maybe he did. I just haven't seen a report when he actually said that. But nonetheless, I've heard from a lot of people, not just people I know in real life, but there's been some scientific research, and actually I mostly heard from people I know in real life on social media about that the amount of power consumption that it takes when you use AI, wow, that is striking. So that is something to consider. Whilst AI is very beneficial in some aspects, depending on how you use it, and the potential it has in the next few years, you have to ask, where does the power to power the AI comes from? It takes a lot of power and electricity to power the AI. Surely, there's going to be a need for a lot of renewable energy sources, nuclear power plants. Forget I would have said coal power plants, but I think that's on a decline, and I think they're going to go away in the next few years, maybe in the next decade or two. However, with the rise of AI, power has to be generated somewhere, especially electricity. Because if AI data centers that are being developed to power the AI is hogging up the electricity away from us ordinary people, then there's going to be power outages. And I'm not just referring to a Simpsons prediction. Power outages will happen if particular companies or centers are using up a huge percentage of the electricity than it actually produces. As in, companies, data centers consuming more energy than the amount of electricity that's being produced. That being the case, power outages are going to be a lot more common than we would ever expect. Just why do you need data centers? If AI is so powerful, why need the data centers? What I've heard about DeepSeek, the AI chatbot from China, it doesn't need data centers. The guy that made DeepSeek, he made it as part of something he made in his own time. He wasn't the guy that made DeepSeek wasn't making DeepSeek just to provide some kind of service to people. He was doing that in his own time, something for himself. And once word got out to the world about that and see how well it does compared to other AI chatbots at the time, it really makes us wonder, are AI chatbots in Western civilization as good as other AI chatbots in other countries around the world? May not I haven't heard much from DeepSeek. However, I have used DeepSeek every now and then, occasionally, and it still works as good as it done when it first launched. And even if there hasn't been any announcement for DeepSeek to update on its chatbot, it's still working fine. And there is a website called Language Model Arena that ranks different AI chatbots and AI software compared to each other and see how well they do particular tasks and its capabilities and how far you can push their limits. And DeepSeek, despite not updating regularly, still ranks in like the top 20, top 15 of AI language models. That's impressive. And meanwhile, those AI chatbots, language models that are on top of the world, they say they need to build more data centers to power the AI that they're making or producing. That alone tells me that there are limitations to the AI that's out there. Like without these data centers, their AI language model is not going to be able to be able to do tasks at its fullest extent. There's always a limit to AI. And if you need all that data center to produce so much electricity, which is very consuming for a lot of people that use electricity at home or in workplaces, I don't think their AI language model is all that good if it needs that many data centers. The true power of AI language models comes down to how little data centers does that chatbot even require. The few amount of data centers it needs to achieve the same capacity as the best AI language models to exist shows not just its advanced capabilities, but also its efficiency and electricity consumption. It's not always going to be ideal, nor is it ever it's going to be physically or logistically possible for AI language models to still work with limited electricity consumption. However, I will say that to show how well AI language models can perform tasks is by the amount of data centers it could possibly work, it can run on, as little as possible. How few data centers does that AI language model need to still operate to its fullest extent? I think that's the way to go for language models in general. If you need all that data center to perform the most advanced tasks, what happens if those data centers go down? Will it still will the AI chatbot still be able to perform that task, or will there be limitations, or will there be gaps in the response that it gives to the users? Possibly. Absolutely, for sure. And you know what? I don't blame these people for having such concerns. Because they're absolutely important to understand. It's important to bring them up. AI videos have invaded local news as realism becomes indistinguishable. NBC Chicago aired a video generated by artificial intelligence that originated from a satirical Facebook post depicting a fake racetrack incident. Expert voices in the article, such as ABD AI Al Magid and misinformation researcher Kevin Mati Karamancion, warned about the potential for AI-generated videos to cause harm if mistaken for real, particularly in sensitive areas like politics or public safety. There are efforts to detect and flag AI-generated content, with Karamancion and Abd al-Magid expressing optimism about new tools in development. The power company keeps cutting the lights for a few seconds every week to try to imitate us into paying the bill, the caption reads. The reporter relayed that over the airwaves, we later found out the power company in the area cut the lights to imitate the track owners into paying their electricity bill on time, the reporter said on air. Had that been a real incident, it could have been a serious crime against an electric company. humanity has grown thinking that seeing is believing. Wael Abd al-Magid, professor of electrical and computer engineering at Clemson University, told Straight Arrow News that's why NBC watched the video. Nobody even cared to think that it might be fake, which was very obvious. The person who runs the Facebook page found the whole thing to be funny. The way he said that was a straight face. Howard Weaver said while laughing to the Drive, "You can't trust anything nowadays." Local news stations, even in markets as large as Chicago, are chronically understaffed, and NBC Chicago has not commented on the report. It will keep happening way more often, Abd al-Magid said. So there you go, folks. Mainstream media outlets are experimenting. They're not using yet, but they are experimenting with AI generated news reporters to report news that may or may not happen. Most likely may not happen, because how can you tell if reports are even real these days? And I'm not saying don't listen to what the news is saying. Don't just rely on one news outlet, because you never know if there are certain aspects that other news outlets have addressed that the outlet you're looking at in question may not have picked on, or even if they are aware of it, they don't believe it's as important to their viewers as it is for other viewers for other news outlets. It's important that we stay alert and stay critically aware about what capabilities technology will have on us. And of course, if what you're seeing is even real, or if it's just generated by artificial intelligence, you can't believe or trust anything these days anymore. And it now comes down to how well do people do their own research? How further do people look into stories beyond what the mainstream news says that happened, or what they've addressed, and the people that were at the incident have to say about the incident in question. It's very important to stay alert and be aware. And yeah, before I get disconnected, that is it for the episode.